Greetings, you fine and fantastic people, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is shining and the magpie is casting. Coming to you right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring spawning in the south. It is going to be the Overcommand West forces of Itaperuna. And spawning in the north, playing as the United Kingdom forces, it is going to be HOI-hazuki watora. So probably just going to call him Hazuki. The map is going to be Faymanville Approach, and yeah, kind of nice to see this map, actually. Feels like it's been a while since I have cast it. Couple of things as these two players get underway. First of all, I'm going to be streaming today. Just kind of felt like it, actually. Don't really have anything particular planned, but I think what I'm going to do is play some games, play some StarCraft, play some Deserts of Karak, perhaps. That kind of thing. I am, of course, streaming the Go for StarCraft 2 tournament tomorrow, starting at 1900 CET. So yeah, I figure it's probably a good idea to get some practice in, seeing as how I haven't actually been playing that much StarCraft recently. To be fair, I haven't really been playing that much StarCraft since Legacy of the Void released, and a lot has changed since then, so I definitely need to refamiliarize myself with that. In addition, hang on a second. Yes, in addition, I am actually planning on entering the Artifact Cup 17, so I'll be playing that on Saturday. I will be streaming it as I play. I'm also going to be streaming a live cast just before, featuring a fantastic game with A-Game Anx and Discara. I'll be co-casting there with Dreamlands. So that'll be just before the Artifact Cup. More details on the Twitter, on the Facebook, and indeed on the YouTube channel. We'll get some precise timings and stuff like that as soon as Dreamlands and I have worked it out. But yeah, plenty of Magpie coming at you in the very near future. So yeah, I don't know. If any of that sounds cool, then definitely tune in. I feel like I should pay attention to this game, though, which I'm trying to do whilst talking about other stuff. So we had a Kubu Wagon opening, which is interesting. That's going to enable Itaperuna here to have some map control. Vickers guns get set up in the more or less dream building on this map. That is pretty standard stuff. The UKF, doesn't matter which side you spawn on this map, you want Vickers in that building most games, depending unless you've got something super sneaky up your sleeve. So, yep, that Vickers we do see. There's another Vickers actually in this area of the map. Right now, that should be hooning on into this Kubelwagen. There we go. And that's going to force back the little scout car here momentarily. Imagine Itaperuna going to give that reverse order. And so far, I mean, this has to be quite an even early game, really, doesn't it? I mean, 16, 17 tickets have been chalked off by Itaperuna off of Hazuki here. But, I mean, that's nothing to write home about, and I think as the UKF player, you're kind of used to being behind by a few tickets in the early game, so this is probably fine. Looks like a Vickers gun going to transition across to help these beleaguered Tommies, who are actually kind of losing to Volks Grenadiers right now. Another squad of Volks going to come in to reinforce, but the clustering on these Volks means that they are likely to be caught in the arc of this Vickers. And there we have it. So the Tommy squad going to fall back, Volk squad here going to fall back, the other Volk squad going to give the Vickers gun the respect it needs, and they're going to maneuver themselves around the arc and have another bite at that particular apple, that particular cherry, or whatever your fruit of choice might be. For a second there I thought this was a second Kubelwagen and my heart sort of lifted, but no, it's just the first Kubelwagen. I still like Kubelwagens, they are really, really cool. Definitely a favourite of mine, although gone are the cool days when they used to suppress and do fun things. Anyway, these Volks here are probably not going to last very long, and Itaperuna at the moment just doing quite a good job of being the aggressor. I mean, he's keeping his opponent's units busy, forcing Hazuki to respond to him, as well you might if you've got 2 MGs in your roster at this time in the game. Whilst also capping out around the map, you know, he's got like fuel, he's got muni, he's actually got double muni if he would just have it connected actually, so a nice swipe here, nice swipe of a cutting off point here by Hazuki, that's nicely done. No commander picks so far by either player, but we'll keep an eye out for that. Looks like we've got the standard 3 for Itaperuna. I mean, this actually no Luftwaffe ground forces there, so going to be bringing in the breakthrough doctrine instead of Luftwaffe, so a slight deviation from what we're used to seeing, I suppose, here from Itaperuna. I kind of play like him as well, to be honest, when it comes to the commanders, because like the Luftwaffe ground forces, I love him, but I feel like I've played him so much that I just, you know, I just can't play with him anymore. I kind of feel that way about Scavenge as well, actually. Anyway, looks like for the Brits we got the Mobile Assault Reg. We got the who's this? This is Mr. Vanguard up. That's it, Vanguard. Just couldn't remember the word there. And this is tactical support. Okay, all right, interesting. Whoa, some engineers going down there. I probably should have been paying attention. Here they are. They got butchered. I was just looking at commanders and talking about other things. But yeah, looks like these engineers are going to go down to the STGs, to the KAR-98Ks of the Axis forces here. And that seemed to be a fairly needless squad wipe. I can't see anything that indicates that those units couldn't have fallen back. So a little interesting there. Itaperuna going to be grabbing the westernmost VP, continuing to apply VP pressure, which is nice. The scorelines, actually, he's actually kind of... The Brit player has caught up and is indeed in the lead by 3 tickets. I mean, there's nothing to write home about, of course, but that is a thing right now that's going on in this game. Battle promotion! They sound fiercely patriotic, don't they? So yeah, kind of just waiting for the time in the game where something interesting is going to start happening. And that is beginning now. Of course, platoon command post has finished for the British player. AEC research likewise, and an AEC, pardon me, now on the tab. So we're going to see the British scout car come out here. Whoa, these Volks are actually turbo low. Is he? I think he's going to... Yeah, I mean, okay, that Volk is out of there, but that was a little closer than I thought it might be to a squad wipe there. Looks like some ghost sandbags being deployed by Hazuki here, so nice stuff there. Storm Pioneers and a Kugelwagen having to waste some time to take those out, so that is kind of annoying, and I imagine it may have been messing with the pathing for Itaperuna and things like that here. So Hazuki here doing all he can to throw a spanner in the works of his foe. Vickers gun here getting flushed by a nice flank of Volks there. That's kind of annoying. I mean, it'll be back on the front here momentarily, but that's slightly frustrating. AEC's now rolled up into town, just awaiting orders here. If this was me, I'm immediately giving it control group 5, bringing it onto the field, telling it to Q move in somewhere. And it's going to get stuck straight into these folks. So, Battle Group at HQ, BT Dubs, was the tech of choice here for Itaperuna. Absolutely, I mean, whatever, that's cool, it's a good building. He's going to be making a light gun, which, I mean, this is one of the maps I actually do like light guns on a little more than usual, so I'm going to try and rein in my typical skepticism of the OKW indirect fire piece here. Anybody who's been on my channel for very long probably knows that I'm not a big fan of the light gun. It's just quite expensive for not a lot of benefit, but, you know, like I say, this is one of the better maps for it, so we'll have to see what it's able to deliver here. This is even possibly a map for a double light gun, actually. I do really like lights on this map a bit. Storm Pioneers in this building, getting worked down. Oh dear, actually, leaving via the front door there as well. What are these, shoe mines? Yeah, 2 sets of shoe mines in mid, but the metal detector engineers are on the scene, going to clean those up momentarily here. At least you have to think that they're going to clean them up. Going for the... oh, really? Is this actually... Okay, they're detected, so they won't detonate. That's cool. For a second there, I thought we were going to have some, like, hilarious accident. But anyway, Trench here going to get incendiaried. Volks are going to be overrunning for now. Tommy Squad in the hood. But this number of Volks, if they use the cover, may well have a good chance. Looks like the AEC is going to transition across here, and that will police these Volks. So they're going to fall back here. Vickers gun gets set back up in the Dream House. Field control here, looking to be kind of going towards the hands of Hazuki Watora here, and that's kind of cool for him, using the mobility of the AEC and the hitting power and area denial of the Vickers MGs. Seems to be reaping rewards right now for the British player. Kugelwagen here gets taken out in this fight. Light gun is being used to... actually, it's targeting the AEC, which is a touch awkward, but anyway. Where is that light gun positioned? Okay, very, very far back at the moment. Just getting some veterancy. I mean, I get why you'd fire an AEC, because any hits you get, any hits that do damage, are going to give you so much veterancy. And to be honest, this AEC isn't even moving that much. Okay, now it is. So we got a fight here on the base of the Axis, on the doorstep of the Axis base. Volksgrenadiers, Storm Pioneers, Tommies, Vickers, all doing their thing. This actually looks pretty good for the British player, actually. This Vickers gun has 2 stars of veterancy, which means it has the range upgrade, which means it's just kind of hooning, like, actually really far. When you consider that the Axis battle group at HQ is only here, that's quite good. Oh, light gun finding some pretty clustered up Tommies here, getting some damage on there. So that's nice. At least I think it is responsible for some of that damage. I know the shot landed on the wrong side of this wall, but now he's going to start focusing down the Dream House, and this is what we needed to see. This is what the light gun was for. I feel like it's kind of been wasting barrages up until now. So the army roster for Itaperuna actually looking severely small, isn't it? After he's lost that Kugelwagen. I mean, 3 squads of Volks, Storm Pioneers and a light gun. I mean, it's because he's built 2 tech buildings. He's gone for a reasonably early mech reg here. And I like the mech reg. I like the mech reg on this map. Puma's useful on this map. Luke's could be useful on this map. Stuckers of Foos, very useful on this map. So I do like the choice for the mech reg here. How much fuel are we stacking? So Itaperuna actually stacking like 70 fuel, so if he's able to save up 100 and get like a pretty early Stuckers of Fuse, actually with an AEC on the field, I pretty much hate that. So possibly Puma. Has he got Puma Cash? Yeah, he's got Puma Cash, so here comes the Puma. Puma makes a good amount of sense, helps him against all the targets you see up here in the top right. Most of all, it helps him against the AEC, though. Speaking of which, he may be able to slap a Faust on that bad boy right now. Poof! And he will. There we go, engine gets broken, but there are engineers right here, and there's not actually a lot to follow through on that, so possibly even a touch premature, that Faust. But the Puma's going to be here in about, I don't know, 30 seconds, and that's going to be able to... Oh, Stormpine is here, actually, getting up on top of a 2-star squad of Tommies that are turbo low. I believe they will escape. Yeah, there we go. But that was kind of close there. Opportunity for a squad wipe for Itaperuna, and that's always something that raises the pulse, gets the adrenaline flowing in a good way for the Axis player, so that's nice. A little ray of hope there being presented. He's still stacking... Okay, so not that many resources, I suppose. It's HOI-hazuki, actually, who has quite the bank to spend right now. I'd love to see him go for his company command post. He seems aptly positioned to start getting that tech, and I think a fast Cromwell here could be what he needs to convert this early momentum into a sweet win, maybe. It will certainly put the pressure on pretty hardcore. Now here comes the Puma. Bing! Gets a nice first hit on the AEC. Let's see, the line of sight looks good. Bing! Gets a nice second hit, and the main gun is down, which I imagine means that this is a dead AEC. That's a little unfortunate for the British player, but, I mean, it's not that unfortunate, you know. And, there it goes. So that was a well-executed AEC kill here from the Puma, which is now going to switch off of prioritized vehicles and start hooning into this Maxim gun team. Ooh, actually getting some reasonable damage. It's pretty lucky for a little Puma. Position in mid here, still held by the British forces. No Vickers gun here right now. Both of the Vickers gun either falling back or elsewhere. I do like the Vickers gun out on the right flank, actually. That's nice. But Itaperuna actually beginning to fall behind. He's about 50 tickets back right now in terms of the victory stakes. He's going to need to grab a VP to stabilize this bleed. Also grabbing a fuel point is going to be useful. He just doesn't have, like, a lot of infantry. Like, now's a really good time where I feel like if he could take Ostrupon, that would be, like, really worthy. But obviously that's not a thing OKW can do. So there will be no Ostrupon coming on. But I feel like, yeah, he just needs access to a cheap and useful squad that he can kind of call in. I suppose another squad of Volks wouldn't look too terrible right here, but I think I like an MG34 better. If he can get that into mid, that's going to be turbo annoying for the British player. Another light gun has some charm here. Not sure I like it though, it's far too passive, and to be honest, he needs more active squads. I mean, he's really only got 4 squads that he can send out to capture points right now, so I do like getting another frontline infantry squad. Now he has now a recourse to get Fallschirmjäger, who I actually think would be okay right now. Tommy guns, sorry, not Tommy guns, Bren guns beginning to appear on these Tommies. Actually just hooning through these Volksgrenadiers. Volksgrenadiers here taking a slightly risky fallback path as well. Unlikely that they're going to get wiped, but they are receiving a little extra damage there running across the face of a few British units. So yeah, so far I think a reasonable game out of both players. I think HOI-hazuki getting slightly unlucky with his AEC getting picked off the way it was, but apart from that, you know, putting together a really nice looking game here with the UKF, all the units where they need to be, and I haven't seen any, except for losing those engineers, I suppose, no massive mistakes or bouts of inattentiveness from him. Getting additional value here up against these Stormpiners. Man, they stayed so long. I'm one of these OKW players who doesn't like trading his Stormpiners down to the last man, just because they're so expensive and they feed so much veterancy, you know. If they're not trading, like, reasonably well, I just don't like trading down that far, I guess. So Puma here might get threatened by the Piats on these Royal Engineers. Nah, looks like Itaperuna are going to see that one coming quite a long way off. These Volksgrenadiers all vetting up nicely, actually. 2 stars is a nice and uniform veterancy appearing on these units. Now the Vickers gun is back in the Dream House. It's going to be suppressing Volks again. This is pretty annoying. Looks like Volk's going to try and coming in here. You can see that he's spreading his Volks here. Going to try for potentially an incendiary on this building. 3-star Vickers though, doing such real damage. These Volks are actually just clustering up. I don't understand the clustering there. But the incendiary does come through. A couple of lag hits as well. Also softening up the building and the unit within. So getting some great damage on there actually. And now this Vickers gun looking pretty weak. Is there a special weapons regiment on here? No. Ooh. I don't know. This looks like an... I don't know. I'm probably just kind of like... This is probably like way too cutesy of a play, but I quite like going for special reg right now and calling in a weapon half-track. No, I don't, because he's already got weapon racks. What are you talking about, Magpie? That would just be terrible, wouldn't it? First thing in the morning right now, guys. First thing in the morning. Give Magpie a chance. He's not even had most of his cup of tea. So, we got a Panzer II Luke's coming, and we also have a Cromwell coming, which, I get the Panzer II. It makes a lot of sense, and I really feel like Itaperuna does need the help against these UKF infantry squads. I mean, he is getting bossed around by by Vickers guns and by, you know, Bren gun Tommies. It's a mess out there. His Volksgrenadiers just don't have the punching power to get through squads like this reliably. Well, having said that, oh, MG is turbo low. Ooh, okay. There was a Hail Mary lag shot coming in there, but it was a miss. So nothing going to come of that. Here comes the Panzer II, moving on to the field now. Here comes the Cromwell, likewise the same. So we're going to have to see what's going to happen here. We've got 3 vehicles now on the field. An interesting combination here. Now, the Puma, given the correct circumstances, is more than a match for a Cromwell. If you're able to kite and keep that thing at range, you know, Cromwell armor is not actually proof against the Puma at all. Oh, wow, losing some engineers here with a metal detector and some Piats. Piat got dropped as well, so there is some battlefield bounty going here for both players. Let's see who's going to be able to get on top of that quickest. Now the Panzer II Luke's gets caught by the Cromwell. Cromwell's ain't slouches, though. He's going to frantically backpedal away, getting behind this building. Volksgrenadiers are here for the Faust. Oh no, it stops there, though, and that's probably going to cause the demise of this Panzer II. If he'd have just not stopped there, I feel like he would have been fine. Here comes the Faust. Oh no, the Faust... Did the Faust already come through? I feel like the Faust animation didn't fire that. Wow, this guy is just, like, petrified. Wow. Anyway. So, okay. The Cromwell's going to get out of there, having successfully picked off a Panzer II and a few other infantrymen. So that is pretty fortuitous, I think, for Hazuki. I think if the Puma was in the hood, and I think if a Faust would have actually come down and broken the engine, that obviously could have gone completely differently. And I think, to be fair, Itaperuna just caught a little bit off guard. I mean, you're at this phase in the game, you have to expect your opponent's going to come through with something, some kind of large fuel investment at some point. So I'm not quite sure to what, like, exactly why the Panzer II was kind of all the way out there so unsupported. And I feel like he should have heard the Cromwell coming. I don't know. It was just very unlucky, basically, for Itaperuna, I think, that his Panzer II was caught out there. Now, Panzer II is not super expensive. It's definitely not the end of the world, but I would say he definitely finds himself at a deficit now in this game. Under a triple cap, trailing 283 behind 372. Army composition does favour the British player a little bit. Like, I definitely prefer the Brit army right now over the OKW one. But it's not insurmountable. And many times as the Brit player, you have quite a good early game and quite a good mid game, and you're there holding out and feeling good and kind of just swatting down everything the OKW player tries to do. But if you never wipe the core infantry, if you never wipe those Volk squads, if you never wipe the Storm Pioneers, you know, if you never wipe those early vehicles, then getting up to like 3, 4, 5 stars of veterancy with the OKW player occasionally enables them to snatch a game in the very late phases against a Brit player who's looked pretty secure the entire game. Maybe it's just me because I'm oh, that was 4 Volksgrenadiers who just got nuked. As I was just saying, he's not losing his core infantry. And now I feel like he is bleeding out his core strength. And now I feel like Itaperuna in a very desperate situation. He doesn't have many resources. He doesn't have many options available to him except for holding with what he's got. Kettenwerfer here manages to find an okay shot into the flank of the Cromwell. Puma's going to come through as well just to chase it on out of town. Biff gets a nice... That was the aimed shot being used there. So the turret jammed on that Cromwell, but that is a brave Puma that's going to stalk a Cromwell. I mean, wow, okay, fair enough. There is a 6-pounder out here somewhere, but it's not in position actually to help with this fight. So the Puma actually getting another hit in here, and another is just picking this Cromwell down, has to leave it there. But that was actually a lot more damage than I expected for Itaperuna to get done there. So that's quite nice. Now, what it doesn't help him with is snatching any of these VPs, you know. British forces still garrisoning mid. Okay, the MG isn't in the building, but it's still kind of, you know, present and correct near the building. So a Vickers gun is still being a dick, basically, in the middle of the map for Itaperuna here, who's still trying to take fights. But, I mean, what can mere Volksgrenadiers do against, like, Bren gun Tommies and Vickers, you know? You need more diversity to your roster. Now, there is an MG34 on the field, nearly a star of veterancy on that. And the light gun is actually up to 2 stars, 9 kills, so, you know, that's been doing some work. Has it been doing a lot of work? Has it been changing how this game has looked? Has it been a tactical asset for Itaperuna? I'm still not convinced. I'm still not convinced. But, you know, at least it's done something. At least it demonstrably has done something. So the Cromwell right now is being repaired. The Puma has been repaired and is ready. Oh, wow, he's actually stalking it around in some pretty advanced positions already. Getting quite far forwards with this unit. Does he have a metal detector? Wow, he's playing it quite risky then as Itaperuna. I mean, because that Puma is on thin ice when it's out on the map like that. You know, one set of mines and that is it. The Cromwell will come in and snap that thing up for free and That would be terrible right now, actually. If you're Itaperuna, that is actually terrible. You can't really afford for that to happen in this game. I'm kind of amazed that he's still in it. I'm kind of amazed that he's capping mid, to be honest. But he is. Tommy's here, staying so long. Wow. Getting right down to the last pixel. Kind of needlessly risky there from Hazuki. Anyway, two squads of 4-star Volks going to try and tighten the noose here. Here comes the Cromwell, going to reveal itself there. Puma is kind of not really in position. I mean, it's in the right part of the map, but it was facing the wrong way. Actually, Puma is up to 2 stars now, which, look at the rate of fire on it now. Now it is properly picky. Like, once you get a Puma to 2 stars, it feels very good. Like, 2 stars is when it gets the rate of fire increase. And I think it's 3 stars is when it gets the the potency increase. A 3-star Puma is like a properly, you know, it's like a weird, spicy tank destroyer at that stage, you know, because it fires quickly and with good potency against medium vehicles. And he's feeding it up there. He's actually using this Puma quite nicely. I mean, it's not enough by itself, but he takes the Western VP, so he does actually stop the bleed for a while. Mortar Pit beginning to come up here for Hazuki to try and regain his strength in mid-map here, and I do like that choice. Puma here coming in for a couple of cheeky shots. I think it got one onto the Mortar Pit there, so that is nicely done. Itaperuna, I have to say, demonstrating like how to use a Puma so far. I mean, if he makes a wild mistake and flails it to death in a second, then I do apologize. But so far, this Puma are actually looking okay. And I'm a big fan of Pumas, you know. Many a game I got them up to 4, even 5-star, and like just used carefully, used opportunistically, used cautiously. The Puma can be a fantastic anti-tank investment, and we are seeing that right now. I mean, it really is keeping this Cromwell in check. Now, the British player stacking some 258 fuel and a ton of manpower, so I kind of get the feeling that there's a Crocodilio coming. Unless, has he researched comets or anything silly? No. I feel like this has to be a crocodile coming then, because he's gone for Vanguard, which, by the way, he's gone for Vanguard. I didn't mention that. But I do like Vanguard. It's still, like, since release, this has been, like, my go-to sort of, like, not necessarily favourite, but my, like, comfortable, like my old pair of jeans British commander, you know? Like, you know where you're at with this commander. You've got some sick air support, you've got some sick vehicle repairs, you've got the funky kind of Swiss Army knife glider thingy, who also gives you the forward air landing field officer, who I really love because he has the stim pack ability. You even get, which people forget to use, to be honest, raid operation, which if you remember to use it, it's pretty cool. I mean, it throws down smoke everywhere, it makes your dudes capture stuff really fast. It's nice, I like it. And then you get, you know, the point and shoot ability of the strafing support, which I think I already said, and of course you get the crocodile, which is a mighty late game unit. You know, I mean, it really does kind of eat infantry for breakfast. And if you back it up with, you know, a Firefly or a Comet or your choice, really, I mean, whatever you want, it tends to do pretty well. Just something that can kill vehicles is what you need to add on to it, basically. So, wow, this light gun actually up to 3 stars of vet now and being joined by a matey. I worry that they're a little clustered here. They are quite close together. I would like him to spread these out. But, you know, there's very little in the way of counter indie here. I mean, there's a mortar pit, but that shouldn't be an issue for these 2 light guns. So yeah, anyway, Cromwell here coming back out. Gonna run into the teeth of a Kettenwerfer. Brave Kettenwerfer here, staying for another hit. Let's see if the Puma opts to transition in. Doesn't appear to have any interest right now. I think I wouldn't have minded bringing the Puma down this road and just poking in for a couple of extra shells. It's the veterancy, you see. It's the veterancy you really want on that Puma. So here he comes. He's going to transition it across here. Now, you can still see this Cromwell, so I'd love to see him, yeah, just poke up a little bit. Going to lose his MG34 as well here, though. Again, not the end of the world, but... Okay, here comes that crocodile. Here's the sound of burning Volks and burning everybody. I kind of get the feeling this ought to be the end of this game now, because, I mean, the crocodile has enough AT by itself that it can push the Puma aside. And the Puma just doesn't have nearly the DPS you'd need to take out a crocodile, let alone with a Cromwell. Cromwell here is going to overrun with the crocodile. Many infantry squads are getting burninated on the doorstep of the OKW player's base. There's a crocodile in his face. I think it's safe to say, yep, this game is over. There we go. Itaperuna here, coming up against the bad end of Hazuki Watora. Going to get absolutely smashed to pieces by British armor in the late game. Nicely done here. Very nicely played from Hazuki. I think I liked all of his choices at all points in the game. The trouble was, he lost these engineers. Okay, that sucked. But apart from that, like, when did he not look like a British player in control of the game? You know, Early on, he got his Vickers into this building, got a fantastic amount of field denial from it. He pretty much always had a Vickers running around somewhere in the north/east of the map, like just running around in these areas. That Vickers made a pretty good living out of this building for large amounts of the game, just making life really tough for Itaperuna. I liked the early AEC and that it was able to survive like a reasonable amount of time. Losing your AEC to a Puma pick is not the end of the world, because at least your opponent has gone mech reg and taken a Puma, and a Puma doesn't really have many applications if you don't have a vehicle. So once the Puma kills your AEC, and a Puma is strictly better in a Puma versus AEC fight than the AEC. So that's not uncommon. So British players, don't feel like, oh my god, you like turbo failure when you lose that AEC to a Puma. No, the Puma is actually kind of pretty much better. So yeah, so losing that AEC, not the end of the world, and made that Puma pretty redundant, at least until he got an additional armoured choice, which was the Cromwell. Now, the Cromwell played an interesting back and forth with that Puma, the whole game, which pretty much, I think, was actually more beneficial to the OKW player, really. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that the Cromwell bopped down the Panzer II, I would say that the Cromwell was actually not that good of a choice, but having rinsed a Panzer II, that's definitely reasonable, and it definitely justified its existence. And to Hazuki's credit, he kept it alive against a Puma and Faustings and Kettenwerfers and things like that the entire game, getting it up to 2 stars of veterancy. Had it survived long enough for the Crocodile to come out, and Crocodile plus the Cromwell there was just represented lethal force. So the Cromwell pick actually pretty spicy when you think about it, because he kept it alive so long, and then it enabled this kind of game-ending overkill. For Itaperuna, I just think he never really adapted or was able to deal with the Vickers guns. And then once the Tommies had Bren guns, I feel like the infantry fight was just never ever the infantry fight was just done for the British player. He was just winning every engagement. Now, how do you deal with that with Overcommand? Well, it's not easy. Overcommand do have a hard time with MGs in buildings, especially in the early game, and we kind of saw that a little bit in this game. What can you do? Well, you can get better positioning. For example, one time when he assaulted this Vickers gun, I think his Volks were still just a little too clustered and things like that. You can flank, you can get light guns, which we did see, and we did see get up some veterancy. I'm not even still sure if this light gun was actually worth it over another choice, but at least it did something. If you go up to 2 light guns, then you can definitely start crushing these buildings down, which I suppose I didn't really see him using the focus firing, putting barrages on the buildings that much this game, so maybe Itaperuna could have done that. Even when your opponent's not in those buildings are worth way more to a Brit player with Vickers guns than they are to you as the OKW player. So, I do like focusing those buildings down, even if there's no squad in there. Just getting rid of them it's fine. Mech Reg, he went for the Puma. I did like the Puma. The Panzer II was an interesting one, because that Panzer II, you have to anticipate it's gonna come out into the teeth of a British fuel choice, a British, company command post fuel choice. And I just don't see that the Panzer II really offers a lot there. So I would question the choice of the Panzer II. I actually think that a Stuka-Zafus would have been a lot more spicy at that juncture, because it allows you to counter the MGs in the buildings. It allows you to counter the heavily weapon-based team, the heavily weapon team style that Hazuki was using. It allows you to have quite a measure of control against Tommies, who are basically superior to Volks at that phase in the game. So I think I like a Stuka-Zafus on this map. My only concern with that is that it's quite a small map, and there's not many places for the Stuka-Zafus to run, so it's actually reasonable for your opponent just to throw the Cromwell to get that. But I still think I do like, I think I do like the Werferman. Definitely over the Panzer II, definitely, because I think that Panzer II was actually just the biggest thing that I didn't like from Itaperuna here, if I had to pick anything. So there it is. Also, his infantry roster, if he's not going to have a Panzer... I can see why he reached for the Panzer II. It was because he needed something to break the MGs, and he needed something to deal with the horrendously out-of-control infantry situation, because Volks Grenadiers and Storm Pioneers are never going to beat Bren Gun Tommies, supported by, Royal Engineers with Vickers guns and things. You're just never going to take those fights. Not with no upgrades on your units, anyway. So I feel I see why he reached for that. What could he have done instead? Well, I don't know. I mean, because he has no recourse to Fallschirmjägers here, which actually I feel like would have been fine. He had no recourse to Obersoldaten because he went to the Mech Reg. STGs, I don't think they would have made any difference here. So I feel like MG34s, maybe one more of them a lot earlier in the game would have been really useful. Because he did reach for an MG34, but it was reasonably later on, and I feel like by that point the British infantry was already so rampant and dominant, it didn't make too much of a difference. So yeah, I guess another MG34 earlier. And I don't know, like maybe Fallschirmjäger. He didn't use his commanders at all, actually, so I don't know. I mean, do Panzer Fusiliers have much game against like vetted Tommies with Bren guns? Because if you buy them the G43s, they've got good range and accuracy. Maybe you can like play a long range anti-infantry game with them. I don't know. That's not actually something I've tried. So maybe that. Anyway, enough of this. Enough from me. This is going to conclude this video, but I'm going to go on to stream now momentarily. So it's going to be Magpie 842 playing StarCraft 2 and being terrible at it, and playing other games and being terrible at them too. Coming up later today. Then tomorrow, that is Thursday, the 15th, starting at 1900 hours Central European time, I will be casting the Go for StarCraft 2 Cup. So definitely tune in on that. Then on Saturday, I'm going to be live co-casting a game with Dreamlands of Homeworld Deserts of Karak before entering a Homeworld Deserts of Karak tournament in Artifact Cup number 17. So plenty of Magpie 842 coming at you in the near future. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all very soon. Greetings! What is up, and a very warm welcome to the channel. The sun is shining and the Magpie is casting. Coming to you right now with a live 1 versus 1 battle featuring spawning in the south. It is going to be the Overcommand West forces of Itaperuna. And spawning in the north, it is going to be the UKF forces of HOI-hazuki watora, who I might just call Hazuki. Yes, let me see. Oh, of course, the map is Faymanville Approach, which hasn't actually featured on the channel for a while, so that's kind of cool, actually. This is a map which I have kind of missed, actually, weirdly. That's my doorbell. Damn it.
Grenadier, ready for action.
Yeah, just that's fine. I'll be right out. Sorry, I just got to stop this. Greetings, you fine and fantastic people, and a very warm welcome to that channel. The sun is shining and the Magpie is casting. Coming to you right now with a live 1 versus 1 replay featuring... Wait, that's a contradiction. It's a live 1 versus 1 game, not a replay. Featuring starting again.